Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video we'll be having a look at the new rules for cover in 10th edition Warhammer 40,000. It was really good timing today to see about the terrain for Warhammer 40,000 10th edition and the new rules that are going to come with it, as I'm planning the terrain that's going to be built for the 40k tournament I've got coming up in August. I was about to do the video for transports, but I'll do that next. I thought I'd do the terrain video first. So in the video, we'll be going through all the new rules that they've shown us in today's article on the Warhammer community site, and it's mostly focusing on the benefit of cover. And here you can see that there's going to be some slight changes to what we're used to in 9th edition. When we get cover, the units are still going to be able to add 1 to their save rolls, so that hasn't changed, but there is a slight change as to when that cover can be applied. So if you've got the benefit of cover, you can't improve your saves of 3+ or better against weapons with an armor penetration characteristic of 0. Now what that means is that a unit will never have its save improved to 2+ by any terrain. So if, for example, the unit has a save characteristic of 3+ and the weapon has an armor penetration of -1, you'll be able to get the benefit of cover, add 1 to your saving roll, but that save roll is still going to be 3+. But if the armor penetration of the weapon is 0, you wouldn't be able to get that +1 as the benefit of cover. So really interesting. That's certainly going to affect some units right away. I'm thinking about my eliminators that did really well with their cloaks, getting the extra buffs there. So that's going to be gone now. That's a real shame. I wonder if they will include something that will tackle that though. We'll have to wait and see, but we won't be able to get the benefit of cover from any attacks with an armor penetration characteristic of 0. In the article, they tell us that the idea now with new 10th edition, as we've been hearing quite a lot as we've been watching these update videos, is that the new editions is going to slim down and simplify the rules, not make them simple, but simplify them. And in 9th edition, the rules are quite tricky for terrain. It's quite a big subject to delve into, and I haven't done a video specifically on terrain yet, and I will be doing for 10th edition for sure, so look out for that once we get the rules. But this new edition is going to be making it much easier to decide how you get this benefit of cover from which type of terrain. And it says in the article that now deciding whether or not a unit has the benefit of cover is as simple as knowing which category their cover falls into. And the categories are craters, barricades, debris, hills, woods or ruins. Let's start working through each of these categories then, and we'll start with the first one, craters and rubble. It tells us here that to get the benefit of cover, each time a ranged attack is allocated to an infantry model that is wholly on top of this terrain feature, that model has the benefit of cover against that attack. This means you'll get the benefits of cover in crater and rubble even if the models are fully visible to the attacker. That's pretty straightforward. Let's have a look at the next category, which is going to be barricades and fuel pipes. A little bit more to read through here. You can see we've got engagement range to talk about, and in the charge phase, if an enemy unit is within 1 inch of this terrain feature, a charging unit on the opposite side of this terrain feature can still make a charge move against that enemy unit, provided it ends that charge move as close as possible to this terrain feature and within 2 inches of that enemy unit. That should certainly be possible, so easily to do that with these pieces of terrain. They're generally, 1 inch wide, most of them, and certainly the barricades that we've seen in some of the sets like the Morok box set for Kill Team, that terrain is going to be pretty thin as well, so less than 1 inch in width, so that should be no problem to get within 2 inch of an enemy model. Sticking with engagement range, it also says in the fight phase, units are eligible to fight and models can make attacks if their target is on the opposite side of this terrain feature and within 2 inches of them. Doesn't say there's any penalties there for defending or attacking, so that's interesting. But what about benefits of cover then? And now we're going to be looking at ranged attacks. So each time a ranged attack is allocated to an infantry model that is wholly within 3 inches of this terrain feature, if that model is not fully visible to every model in the attacking unit because of this terrain feature, that model has the benefit of cover against that attack. Again, this should be pretty simple to decide whether or not the models are visible to every model in the attacking unit, as a lot of these are going to be about an inch high, especially the Morlock barricades. Again, they're going to be pretty chunky and easy to cover part of the model, so that's going to reduce the visibility there. So that's really nice and straightforward, I think. So good so far. Now let's have a look at the battlefield debris next. And we've got the benefit of cover rules here that state that each time a ranged attack is allocated to a model, if that model is not fully visible to every model in the attacking unit because of this terrain feature, that model has the benefit of cover against that attack. That's pretty interesting. Even statues are going to give some decent cover now, and with one statue positioning your unit correctly or your model in the right place, it's certainly going to be easy for them to be not fully visible to every model in an attacking unit. Next up, we've got hills and sealed structures. And we're going to see this common thread now each time a ranged attack is allocated to a model. If that model is not fully visible to every model in the attacking unit because of this terrain feature, that model has the benefit of cover against that attack. So if there's a model attacking from beneath and as it's looking up, it can't fully see the model that it's attacking, or that model that it is attacking is not fully visible to it, then you will get the benefit of cover. And also if you're perhaps behind it or creeping around it, some of that visibility is going to be taken away. So that's pretty straightforward. Now we're on to woods. Again, quite a lot to read through this, so let's break it down and we'll have a look at visibility first. It tells us that models and units that are wholly within this terrain feature are never considered to be fully visible to an observing model. Similarly, if a model that is not wholly within this terrain feature must look through or over this terrain feature in order to draw line of sight to another model, then that other model is never considered to be fully visible to that observing model, and so it will have the benefit of cover. I think we're pretty used to this with the visibility and how that works with woods, so that makes a lot of sense for sure. It also says that aircraft and towering models are exceptions to this. Visibility to and from such models is determined normally, even if this terrain feature is wholly in between them and the observing model. Models that are wholly within this terrain feature can see out of it normally. So if you're shooting out, there's going to be no penalty. But if you're being shot at and you're wholly within, or the line of sight is broken up by it, then you will receive the benefit of cover. And let's take a look at how they've worded it. So each time a ranged attack is allocated to a model, if that model is either wholly within the terrain feature or is not fully visible to every model in the attacking unit because of this terrain feature, that model has the benefit of cover against that attack. And finally, we've got ruins to take a look at, and it's got a little section here called plunging fire. Each time a model that is wholly within this terrain feature makes a ranged attack, if that model is 6 inches or more vertically from ground level, and every model in that target unit is at ground level, improve the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. So you're going to be 6 inches or more vertically from ground level. You're certainly going to get an advantage on your enemy from shooting above, and that advantage in this case is going to be an increase in your armor penetration. Really try and get that high ground if you can, but what about getting benefit of cover from ruins? It tells us that each time a ranged attack is allocated to a model, if that model is either wholly within this terrain feature or it is not fully visible to every model in the attacking unit because of this terrain feature, that model has the benefit of cover against that attack. And there you go, you can see that this whole idea of being fully visible to every model in the attacking unit is the common thread here throughout, and so visibility is going to play a huge part when we're deciding whether we get cover or not for our models. And I think with ruins, it's really important to have some kind of base laid out so you know the exact footprint you've got to work with, and that was something that we've been thinking about for the terrain we'll be using in our tournaments coming up, especially for Warhammer 40,000, and that next tournament for that will be in Cornwall in August. More to come on that very soon. There we go then, that's everything included in today's update to go through the benefits of cover, and hopefully we'll get some more info on obscuring and things like that. I also wonder if there'll be anything to do with dense terrain, whether there'll be any penalties to hit and things like that. We'll have to wait and see as we get more and more updates as we get closer to the release. But hopefully you've been enjoying these update videos as I've been covering them here on the channel. I'd love to hear what you think about these new terrain rules. Do you think they're a good improvement? Do you see much difference there? And what do you think about this idea of not being able to get cover from any attacks with an armor penetration characteristic of 0. Let me know down below. I'm not too sure about that. I'm going to miss it with my eliminators for sure. But again, we'll have to wait and see if they're going to get anything like their cloak buffs that they got before. But so lots to look forward to. It's really fun getting all these updates. I've really been enjoying making the videos, and I hope you've enjoyed watching them too. Lots to check out. If you want to go and have a look at those, I'll link to them at the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did like it, please hit the like button. And also, if you've been enjoying the videos recently, it'd be great if you consider subscribing. That really helps the channel, gets it out there in front of more people, and then helps you keep in touch with all the new videos as they come up daily here on Tabletop Skirmish Games. So thanks again, and I look forward to seeing you here in the next video. Thank you so much to my Patreon supporters for helping me to keep going with these regular videos. I couldn't do this without you, and I appreciate your support so much. If you'd like to join the Patreon community, support the channel, get some great perks at the same time, there's a link down below in the description. It'll be awesome to see you there.